Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. I made it back. I think I was gone for like 5 days. I don't remember when I was here last. And I will definitely won't be able to stream tomorrow, so I started the stream today just a bit late because my goal for today is to just finish the thing that my last stream ended abruptly. I think it was an internet issue. I forgot. I mean, yeah. I don't think there was other. Yeah, it was an internet problem. So my goal for today was to finish the video I was watching, and that probably be it. So if like you're here for the NLP thing, that won't be this this video / stream, because even though I have updates, I probably don't have the time. What? Audio render error? What does that mean? YouTube is giving me audio render error? Restart your computer? No, I'm not gonna do that. What is this? Okay, I'm gonna test another video just in case this is a one-time issue. Oh, that's definitely just that video's issue. Good. Whew. Let's open it again. Ah, it works. That was really interesting. It's my first time here seeing this sort of problem. Isn't that fun? I love issues that just show up on stream. Yay. Can we see the video? Can we hear the video? Video, are you... Why when I clicked it from here, it was fine? Does not seem fine. It's really funny. See? Happened again. One more time. I can do this. Here's a shorter version. No, I'm good. Wow. Okay, I'm going to search this up and see if I can Microsoft. Is that what I was watching? Probably. Maybe. Yes. I think so. Even though, no, it was this one. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go for the other one. I'm guessing could be the same thing. It really is a YouTube error. No. Okay. I'm gonna let the output be I'm gonna let
each year Microsoft.
So apparently it doesn't recognize the headphone I'm wearing. Figured. I thought so. Can I fix this issue? We shall try one more time, and if it doesn't fix itself, we will continue as if nothing has happened. Life is fun.
Microsoft Research hosts hundreds.
It works. Yay.
Of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
So I collaborate furiously with lots of people, right? So for...
Wow. Okay, so it did stop like abruptly. I don't know where it stopped exactly, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna like play it from here.
Think about process too before we get on to content. Here is the research plan that most people follow. They have an idea, they do some research, and then they write the paper. That seems logical, right?
Yes.
A good scientific way of doing things. Completely wrong. Here's what you should do. Have the idea, write the paper, do the research. Right? So what you do...
As in, write the paper while you're doing the research? Like you're taking note? Or write the paper and then do the research and then rewrite the paper? Because that's like two different things, right?
You have an idea and you start writing a paper about it. You probably do a little bit of preliminary work. And as you start to write the paper, you discover that, oh, you know, you can't write section 3 because you haven't done that proof or you haven't built that system. You use the paper as a kind of forcing function to tell you what you need to study next. The world is full of people who spent a year sort of hoofing around in some kind of space, generally doing stuff. And then they've got to 2 weeks before the conference deadline, they start writing the paper and they discover there's some major piece that is important for the paper but is not done. Right? So use the paper as a forcing function. Another way in which it's a very good forcing function is that as you write the paper, it will become clearer to you what you do not understand. As you write the paper, it will become clearer to you what you don't yet understand. This happens to me all the time. I start to write the paper and it sort of forces me to crystallize in actual words the idea that I've been kind of vaguely thinking about. I thought I understood it, but when it actually comes to nailing down the details, I can't quite say it, or it just seems to get complicated. I have to keep putting in qualifications or caveats, right? So just...
So you do preliminary research. You write something and you realize there are deep holes in your knowledge or whatever, logic, maybe not really, but mostly knowledge, and then you go back to the drawing board. I understand.
Writing is a really good way of finding out whether you know what you're talking about. Yes?
How many papers are you currently working on? What's the maximum you did in the past?
Well, so I
That's a
collaborate
good question.
furiously with lots of people, right? So for ICFP, the Haskell Symposium, which I last submitted to, I was involved in 4 different submissions, right? But that's because it's a major conference that's in my area, and I was collaborating with 4 different groups of people, all of whom wanted to write a paper. I wouldn't do 4 single-authored papers, probably just one. Yeah, so that's a little unusual, but depends how much you collaborate.
Single author / main author is the paper you're working on and it's your work, and then collaboration stuff. Collaborating furiously. I think even that should have a limit though. Like there's a limit of how furious one can be.
I wasn't the primary author on any of those, right? So if you can't really be the primary author on more than one paper at a time, right, in one moment. Okay. Now, I want to just say a little bit about this idea thing that you start with, right? So again, one fallacy is you've got to do all the work and then write the paper. Don't do that. Just use the paper as a forcing function. The second thing is that you must have a good idea, right? You think, everyone else seems to have good ideas. I read their papers. Their ideas are amazing. And I am a mere worm. I only have measly, weedy little ideas that nobody would want to hear about, right? Everybody feels like this. Everybody feels like this. Right? So you do not need to have a particularly...
I remember commenting on this. For some reason, I didn't remember the part before it, but I do remember this one where he said, I'm a measly worm, because I said so last time. I always feel that I also feel that way. Even though yesterday I had a very encouraging, motivational day, sorta. So I felt good about the things that I'm doing / have done. But that's like dime a dozen, so it doesn't happen every day. Does dime a dozen mean a lot or less? I mean, I'm saying it's something you don't see much. For me, I feel good about myself. I feel proud of myself, but I want to do more. I don't feel bad about myself. Okay. Yeah. I also think that not everybody has that thought. Like maybe maybe there's like 1 in a million who doesn't feel that way. Which becomes a lot if you say 8 billion people.
Wonderful idea to write a paper. In fact, anytime you have an idea, no matter how pitiful, you should start to write a paper about it. Now, it may be that it turns out to be pitiful, in which case you just stick it on your webpage and it's kind of an unpublished report. Or
no matter how pitiful, still publish it for people to see/criticize on your webpage? Really? When was this? What is this? When was this? I don't think this is from 2016. We had cameras that were not potato. 2016. When was this recorded? I'm curious. Maybe Microsoft didn't have cameras that weren't potatoes.
Much more common is it turns out that things weren't quite as simple as you first thought. You start with an idea that seems simple and it ramifies a bit in kind of interesting ways and it turns into something, right? That's a very, very common, almost universal. Quite common is to start with an idea that seems pretty simple and it ramifies into something you think, oh, darn, this is way too complicated. You know, I thought it was simple, but no, it's not. I've got to find a way to make it simpler because otherwise I can't write a paper about it. So the very important thing I want you to get from this slide is do not think that you have to have a good, important, interesting, impactful, world-changing idea. Be perfectly content.
This part of the, you know, this should be famous sound, the same as the Lady Gaga sound.
With a small, weedy, insignificant, unimportant idea. Are you with me?
Yes.
Even
I really want to remix this part. Is that possible? Please let it be possible. Okay. Minute 15. Okay. I will stop pausing because I'm going to be here forever.
Even if it turns out to be that way, the exercise of writing your little paper will have made you a better person and be better able to write that exciting, important, impactful paper. Mostly, impact and, you know, a sense of importance in the larger scheme of things is something you only discover later. You don't discover it at the beginning, right?
Most of the time, yes.
And in fact, sometimes the act of writing is what makes the idea flourish and come into bloom. It's like a seed. And the writing the paper is what is the water that brings it into being. So if you wait, you think, oh, it's too weedy, right? Then you're not watering it. So it stays weedy, right?
Okay.
All right. This is all.
I do want to note that depending on the season, plants don't always need a lot of water. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm talking too much.
Almost universal in my experience. Right. Okay, so enough about getting started.
I think I've used this template. I've used this template. Definitely. I like it.
The most important thing is to start writing and not to wait until you have something brilliant. Start writing early, very early. So far, so good? All right. Now, I want to say a bit about the content of the paper and the sort of content and structure, because I found some things that I found work and others that I found don't.
I've definitely watched this part as well. No, I didn't. I keep mixing the advice of Graham Neubig and this guy. Okay.
Don't work at all. So first thing to do is to just sort of set the scene for the narrative flow of the paper. And what you want to do is to get your reader hooked. Remember that readers are sort of time poor people, so they're not going to read your paper with close attention from beginning to end. You want to get them hooked early. Right. So you want to say...
oh, hi. Hello. Good. Yes. This week has been surprisingly busy. Like yesterday was a super busy day, but in a good way. So, how are you? Where are you? I hope your travels are going great. This presenter is saying that we should always write. Okay. Busy, but in a good way. That's great. telling us to write like now, yesterday, and not wait for ideas to come to you. So, oh, that's cool. I'm glad you're cozy. Whoa, we're going to Nippon, right? That's how they say Japan in Japan. Wow, that's so cool. Are you going to like Japan only, or like what Asia is it called? That part of Asia? Because there's like East Asia, and then there's Middle East and all of that. Oh yeah, it is the motherland of VTubing. Whoa. Are you gonna do anything there? I mean, probably for funsies, but also if there are people you can reach out to, I'm advising you right here to do that. And you're going to Korea. Ah, 부럽다. I'm so jealous. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that should be easy enough. Okay. Do not go to Jeju-do. I quote unquote can speak Korean. Like I have been learning Korean since I was in high school. Yeah, if you need advice, let me know. I mean, sightseeing. Wow, that would be fun. Mostly on my own. The learning part, mostly on my own. And K-dramas and K-pop and all of that. Yeah. That's so cool. Depending on how much time you have, there are different places you could go, like cultural sites, or like fun days, like Loto Tower, or like yeah, depending on where you go. Oh, that's no way. You're pretty decent. Okay, I'm pretty decent. We need to have a Korean off stream. That would be cool. Enjoy your planning. Yeah. Oh. I'm waiting on it. Hiroshima. Wow. You've probably watched a lot of videos about it, right? So that like when you go, you're like prepared for the enormity of like that. Just I don't know. I don't know how one would feel going to Hiroshima. Yeah. I think if you haven't seen it, I recommend the Kyle Hill video. He has one about it, right? I've seen many, so I don't know which one I would like say to rewatch. You'll probably find great videos that talk about the history and like the museum and all of that. Yeah. Oh. The building that's not rebuilt, that one. How would that feel? Wow. Yes. I will keep my eyes peeled on the IRL channel on your Discord, because I was watching it yesterday. That's so cool. Okay. Yeah. See, that's why I've kept my eyes peeled on Discord. I'll do that. Wow. Okay. So you don't need language advice for Korean. Oh, hi Ed. What's up? Good morning. Good morning. You don't need language advice, but you probably don't need location advice as well, so you're good. I believe in you. You can have lots of fun and eat lots of yummy things. Because that's also important. Have you seen the Jaden animation video about buying stuff in Japan? Be careful about buying stuff in Japan, because like you will probably like not have enough space, so be careful about that. Oh, I can Japan though. But oh, that's so cool. Oh yeah, you haven't? Okay. She's like, she bought so many things that she had to get in different bags. That's so yeah, be careful. There are so many cute things there, or like just cool things there. So just like, you know, control yourself. and have a budget maybe. Yeah. I will say, no way. That's so cool. Yay. I know you were like, I think in Indonesia. So yeah, I'm like, that's cool that he knows my time, that it's morning, but you're here. Where? Oh, you don't have to answer me, by the way. I will say one thing, Z. Japan, I mean, again, you've probably noticed. There are like so many similar words that you would recognize if you know Korean, but I won't say that you will understand a conversation. Definitely not. Like you're like, oh, that's the same word as the Korean equivalent. Like I know future is called mire in both languages. What else? There are a few ones that I've noticed. Yay. Do some Duolingo while you have time. So that you just like nail down the hellos and goodbyes and the thank yous. I think those are important. Question to Ed. Are you like, do you feel the difference in the weather? Or is it the same? I'm guessing it's hot everywhere, so. Or, do you feel the difference in humidity? Because I think you would. Because I think a place like East Asia has more water around it, and we don't. I mean, we do, but not as much. Hee hee, burning. Stay inside. Stay inside. That's the biggest advice I can give you. I did find some words that are the same, like kabang. Ah, is it? Kabang is Korean. It's kaban in Japan. Ah. Okay, that's cool. Now, if you need your bag, you can, or if you buy a bag, hydrate or hydrate. Is that a if that's a request, then it shall be granted. But I don't have water with me. I only have coffee. Oh, no way! I don't believe that it was 40 degrees at 12 a.m. Because like I was out at like 2:30 to 3 and it was 45. Like it has to. Where are you? Oh my god. Are you like in the Sahara Desert? That's the word. Why? Wow. Oh, by the way, I had a spiff coffee. Thank you for the hydrate. I will repeat one more time when you get back and when you have time. Do try to get on Twitch, because it has like a lot of fun features that you would find exciting that YouTube is somewhat lacking in that department. Just like the things, what are they called? The things that you can send requests and stuff. I don't know. What's karak? What's karak? Chai? It's a Why have I not had this? Oh no. Oh. I did hear that Twitch is pretty good. I might try to figure out. Inshallah, inshallah. Milk tea with lots of spice. Oh, I think I've had something like that's from India though. Thank you for stopping by. Okay, do rest. You need lots of rest so that you can have tons of fun. Thank you so much. 즐겁게 여행하세요? Something like that. Have fun traveling. Milk tea. Oh, thank you. Milk tea with lots of spices. I've had Oh, see, I've had something that was Indian. Maybe. This is what's the thing that's not cardamom? I forgot. Thank you. Bye bye. Yeah, I think I've had something similar. Maybe not the exact thing. If it's now I'm curious. Now I'm curious about making it, or have someone make it for me, because that's how I roll. I will like do the puppy eyes and be like, I would like to have that, and then someone will make it for me. Oh, time is running out.
Here is a problem, and it's an interesting problem. So in the first few paragraphs, they think, if I could solve that problem, I'd be happy. And then you...
Oh, is that how happiness works? Because for me it does, obviously, but like...
say a little bit about your solution, and you say, that's kind of... if you like, you present your idea in outline, say, that's interesting, that's quite ingenious. I wish I knew more about how that worked. Or maybe I'll turn the page and read on a bit more. And then you give them the payload and the details, right? And you do some comparison with what other people have done. That's your sort of narrative flow. Sort of hook them by incrementally. You don't want to start with a big pile of boring stuff that might seem scholarly but gets in the way of getting your readers addicted to the idea that's in your head, right? You remember the virus thing you're trying to convey. So here's my sort of expectation for readership, right? So lots of people will read the title. Rather fewer people will read the abstract in the first page. When I say introduction, I really mean first page. So when you're looking through a conference proceedings or even a journal, you might you start to read a paper and you think...
More people will read the title, like even nowadays, because like if you search on Google Scholar, or if you search on whatever website you're searching on, or if you see it passing by on Twitter, like I think there's even a bigger potential of people reading your title. Like the 1,000 to 100 is a good ratio, but I think it's changed now.
Maybe, but then you move on, right? It's not a big deal for you. It's a big deal for the author. If you're the author, you care about those people, right? But mostly they're not very committed to you. That's going to move on. So you want to hook them on the first page. So where are you going to invest your effort? Well, you want to spend a significant effort on that beginning stuff. And I'm going to say...
Like, I'm sure anyone who's written a paper understands the importance of the abstract and conclusion. No, anyone who's read the paper, because that's normally how you go, by reading it. But I don't think, maybe because I haven't written a paper in like God knows how long, I don't think I've written a paper like imagining how I would read it. I think I've just done the let's explain it in the most academic way possible.
A little bit about most of these sections. So firstly, just about the abstract, right? This bit at the beginning. Drat. Oh dear. Oh, there it comes back. It's got a little thing. Yes, abstract, this first bit. People often invest quite a lot of effort in abstracts, and I think it's not worth investing very much. In fact, I usually keep abstracts quite short. Here is my little recipe for abstract, which I got from a guy called Kent Beck. 4 sentences. Only 4 sentences. Don't write a long abstract and then repeat it all in the introduction, right? That's a pain to read. Instead, write 4 sentences. State the problem, say why it's an interesting problem, say what your solution achieves. You don't have space in the abstract to say what your solution is, and say what follows from your solution. So here's an example. For, an incestuous...
Say what it achieves and not what it is.
This example taken from this talk. What's the... state the problem. Number 1, first sentence. Many papers are badly written, hard to understand. Right? What was the second thing? Why is it an interesting problem? Oh, it's a pity because their good ideas may go unappreciated. So it's an interesting problem to solve, this paper thing. Well, say what your solution achieves. Well, following simple guidelines dramatically improves the quality of your papers. And then, what was it? State what follows. Your work will be used more and blah, blah, blah. Right? You get the idea? 4 sentences. Keep it brief. That's my advice. And I would write the abstract at the end. When you're all done with the paper, write a 4-sentence abstract. Don't lavish too much care and attention on it to begin with, because it'll probably change as the focus of your paper changes. So much for abstracts. Not terribly interesting. Yes?
So do you think, as people are knowing this title, do you think it's worth investing quite a lot of effort
A catchy title. Yes, a catchy title is worth quite a lot. I don't know how to give advice about how to invent a catchy title, but I think it's worth more than, if you write very, very factual titles like, an application of structural bifunctors to synthetic epimorphisms in a structured comonad, then you've limited your readership to pretty. Whereas if you say, mathematics changes the world, or computer science theory solves a serious problem.
But that's clickbait. I will say, attention is all you need is a catchy title, but we shouldn't go to like clickbait.
Then you're going to make somebody read. Do you see the difference? So that's all I can. Yeah. So
sorry, Simon. Do you think it's important to put the right keywords into the title so that it's like in search engines that it's found easily?
Yes. Something you want to put enough to so that your readers know if you're in their area. So some kind of.
I think. Isn't there like a section for keywords? But also, search engines, don't they search? UAE. Oh, okay. Oh, hi. Hi, Oliver. What's up? How did you have an interview/exam the other day? Or were you just asking for a recommendation? I remember I have a short-term memory. Sorry for forgetting what it was. I just want to ask you about it, but I don't know what it was that I wanted to ask you about it. Yeah, UAE is a funny name. Like, I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, why? It's just Imarat. Like, don't give it a funny name, but no, okay. United Arab Emirates, right? That's what it stands for. Yes. Mamlaka Mutahadda. Is it like that? Emirati or something like that? I forgot.
Keywords in the title or the abstract.
Oh yeah, speaking of keywords, search engines can search within abstract as well, I think. Probably further. But title still needs to convey that this is what I'm talking about. Reader, if that's what you want, come and read.
Incidentally, sometimes, not always, sometimes program committee members will choose which papers to bid for in the reviewing process just by looking at the title and the abstract. So you want to kind of have enough keywords in there so that an expert will say, oh, I know about synthetic epimorphisms, you might want to put that in your abstract. I'll review that paper. Not always. Mostly these days I find as a reviewer that I look at the paper when I'm bidding. I'll look at the papers the ones that look vaguely interesting from the abstract, I'll then glance at the first page of the paper as well. But that varies, yeah.
Do you think the title is kind of dangerous for reviewers because they say, oh, that's a catchy title, but you don't do what you want?
Oh, well, of course, if you have a catchy, bifunctors change the world, and then it turns out that it's a very specialized, narrow thing, doesn't change the world at all. There's a certain danger of that. And there's also a danger of being too jokey, right? Maybe they'll think you're being too flippant. It's a balance. I don't try and say anything very useful about how to invent a good title. Except that, a little bit of humor can help if you don't overdo it. Now, but the introduction is bit I want to focus a bit more attention on, right, which is, what are you going to do in introduction? This is page 1. Try to fit the title, the abstract, and the payload of the introduction on the first page. The physical act of turning a page, or even flipping to the next screen if you're reading it online, is a big hurdle for your readers, right? So you want to say enough on the first page to catch them. So what are you going to say in this introductory section? Sometimes introductions start with, background, sort of vaguely setting the scene for the paper. This is death, right? Because the background is not interesting to your readers. They want to know why they should read your paper now. So here it is. Okay. Describe what the problem is briefly, and then say what your contributions are. So in describing the problem, I would try to use an example. So rather than describe
in introduction, like give. I'm intrigued.
Describing a problem in an abstract way, give a brief description and then give a concrete example. So here's a paper that I wrote a little while ago, and you can see that after 4 lines of text, I've got a program fragment to illustrate a particular example of the problem I was trying to solve. Right, so that kind of gets your, it's a quick way of getting your readers engaged, because then they can think, oh, well, if I could solve that problem, I'd be happy, and I could see that there's something more general hiding behind that. Does that make sense? You're going to say more about the problem later. In the introduction, you're just trying to sort of get your audience to have a sense of the problem that you're trying to do, an intuition, right? Not a fully formal description of what you're trying to do. And so examples are really good for that. Now, the other important thing about setting the problem, this is about describing the problem, is not to make it too ambitious, right? So here's an example. Computer programs, here's a sort of possible first line for your paper. Computer programs have bugs. This is bad. We will solve them. Right?
Yes.
You're looking terribly passive here, but actually, how many papers have you read that play this kind of game?
How many have I written?
That hundreds of people.
I mean, I haven't written much, but still.
Thousands of man-years trying to solve, and you say, that's what my paper's going to do. So it's like describing Mount Everest.
I don't think I've ever described Mount Everest. I hope I haven't, but I get where you're coming from.
Everest, right? And say that you read this paper, you'll have conquered Mount Everest. It's almost certainly false, and so it doesn't really convey any information to your readers because it just says we're working in this general area. Basically, they know you're not going to crack this problem. Do you see the difference? So you want to convey to them something that you can crack. So that's why I say molehills, not mountains. So here's an example. Consider this particular program, which has an interesting bug, right? And then you get your readers to think, oh, yeah, I can see the bug. I can see that's not totally trivial to spot. In this paper, we'll show an automatic technique for identifying and removing this kind of bug. See what I mean? So you want it to be hard enough to be intriguing, but easy enough to be soluble.
Okay, how can you be studying and reading comments at the same time without it distracting you? Hee hee hee. I don't consider this studying, this one. They're fun. Like they're fun distraction, and I like them. Sometimes they take my mind away of the thing, but I don't mind it. Like I like I like reading comments and answering them. Yeah, and then I go back and reread that section so that I understand what happened. But if I say I think I'm good at multitasking, I'd probably be wrong. So why would I lie? Why should I lie? Yeah, I don't mind. How? I don't know. I guess I am distractible myself. Like I get distracted by anything. So the comments are a welcome distraction. When doing anything, I'm like, oh, where's my phone? Where's my phone? But now I can't use my phone. So that's a good thing. My phone is tracking my face. That's why I can't use it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like normal studying, I get distracted, but like doing it on Twitch, I am more focused because I can't just go and watch a different video. So the comments are a welcome distraction. If I was like studying for 2 hours without, I mean, people can, but I don't think I can. So I don't mind it. Yeah. I like it. Thank you for asking questions.
This is a classic error for research grant proposals as well. They also describe Mount Everest. They say, here is this enormous problem. Give us some money and we'll tackle it and die in the foothills. Right, so don't do this. Okay.
That's a good one. See, I also add comments to stuff. I have talked to people that give out funds and grants, and they have said when the problem seems too general, like it won't happen, please make it focused. So that's the same idea.
Okay. Well, okay. So 2 things then, examples and not being overambitious here. Now, the second thing I put here was, 1, describe the problem. 2nd, say what your contributions are. So I wanted to come back to your questions about contributions here. So I think it is really important to list out pretty explicitly what your paper delivers, right? In a sense, what you want to do is
we will talk about this, and that, like that.
To say, if you read this paper, here is the payload, the benefit that you will get. Here are the reasons you might want to read this paper. And then you're...
For some reason, I don't think I've read a paper that has done this explicitly. Like the amount of... the way I see it, introduction has been like an general overview, and then background is a detailed overview. That's how I've seen it. I could be wrong.
Your goal is, it's like a sort of menu in a restaurant. Your goal is to get your readers to sort of salivate at you and think, wish I could eat that, right?
Wow.
So,
he's a really good presenter.
here's an example. So this is an example from another paper I wrote. So I had a bit of an introduction to the setting and why it was an interesting and important problem. And then I said, I didn't say in this paper we make the following contributions, though that's actually quite a good phrase to say we make the following contributions. Here I just said we put the choice on a firmer basis. And then I had a list of bullets, look, right? One, and I think bullets are helpful in contributions because they forced you to articulate what are my contributions as a list. And they make the reader think, oh, he's making 3 contributions here. Now, all contributing perhaps to some grand, some grand idea, but nevertheless they're the sort of underpinnings of it. And the other thing about this contribution stuff is to try to be refutable. What's refutable? But I mean, it is possible that you could fail to deliver on this contribution. If you say, we will study the properties of system X, you're not going to fail. Surely, somewhere else in the paper, there will be some information about the properties of system X.
Okay.
Right? Whereas if you say, we prove that the system is sound and that type checking is decidable, those are, at least for an expert, understandable and refutable. Maybe you didn't prove that it's sound. Maybe you didn't prove that it was decidable. Do you see what I mean? Let's see. We've used it in practice. This is a...
I will say his lecture is very engaging, but I'm distracted by this 20 years in the background. Like I said, I get distracted. I am rather human. So now I'm curious, Microsoft, when was it made? And how do I know? Huh? Where's the founded? When was it founded? You're kidding. 75? I don't know why I didn't expect that. Meaning, this was filmed in 95, right? There. I'm happy. This is what I needed to know. Oof. This is crazy. Next year, they become 50 years. Wow. Wow. Like, for these two people to have lived their lives 50 years within Microsoft. Wow. I am very wowed by this.
Vague thing. Here, it's at least more concrete. I mean, clearly you did build the WSWAS system and implemented a text editor, and you compared it with, these are
achievable.
Think celery rather than overcooked spaghetti. Right? Overcooked spaghetti, sort of floppy and soggy, right? Celery has some crunch to it. You want your contributions to have
crunchy contributions. Hello. That's a really cute bear. Pop, pop. That's a strong, cute bear. How is studying going? And did you finish today's learning? Because if you have, then good job. I think I can give you a thumbs up, but first you need to tell me whether you've studied today and or if you have time to do so, because maybe you don't. And that's okay. About to start. Awesome. Let me see if this is supposed to be a clap. If it's not, then forgive me, but I think it is. There we go. And that was a thumbs up. Yay, good job. I will stop clapping now. Good luck.
Crunch.
Crunch.
All right? All right. And the other thing you can do in contributions is to use forward references. So here, let's see, here in the examples that I've given examples here.
Forward references. You know what? That is a better idea than the one that I have, I guess, which is, say, instead of saying, we introduce it in the introduction and we conclude it in the conclusion, you give a teaser? Because that's what it looks like. You give it a crunch.
In which each claim, right, these are like claims, it's like the specification for a program. For every claim, I give a forward reference, right? And over here, what did I say? You know, blah, 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 in sections 5 and 6, this, and contrast them in section 7. So for every time I make a claim, I make a forward reference to the evidence for that claim.
Got it. Got it. Claim, forward reference, instead of just generally describing what is about to come. Say what is the content of what's about to come.
Now, how many of you read this stuff in blue in papers? At the end of the introduction, there's this paragraph that says, the rest of this picture is structured as follows. Section 2 does this, section 3 does this, section
Guilty. Guilty. I'm guilty.
4 does this. How many of you read that section with your
And
heart
skip it.
pounding in your chest, thinking, whoa, this is a paragraph that I really want to read because it's going to make my life better?
Wow. This is a really fun video. Okay, like.
You skip
I've been burnt.
it, don't you? Every time you
Yes.
start that paragraph, you think, I'll just skip it.
Yep.
I'm going to go to the beginning of section 2. And these are the words that appear where?
Last paragraph of introduction.
On page 1,
Oh.
your 100 reader page,
Uh-oh.
right? So you've taken your most precious words and you've devoted them to a purpose which nobody, literally nobody, reads. Why would you do
I'm
that?
sorry.
It seems to make scholarly sense, but in my view, it's just a waste of space. So instead, use your list of contributions, right? Because then it's not only having a sort of narrative flow like this that people actually want to read, it's got some semantic content, but also every time you make a claim, you've got a forward reference to the evidence, and that's so helpful for a reader, right? So they don't have to work out where it's going. And then you can also say, sections 3, 4, and 5 are not mentioned in my list of contributions. I wonder if sections 3, 4, and 5 belong in this paper entirely. What would happen if I left them out? You see what I mean? You can sort of...
But, yeah, actually, I agree with you. Okay. I was about to say, do I need to see background as a contribution? Sorta, yeah. Because, like, yeah.
do a dead, like a garbage collection on your paper, no references to it, it's out, right? Of course, sometimes you need some background section, something to set up, so it's not a shortcut, but that's the idea.
See? Okay? See? You can say something about background, I'm sure.
That's it. So that's all about introduction. Any questions about this sort of first introductory page stuff? Or comments, indeed? Yeah.
Introduction, write the introduction and the first one at the end. So after writing everything.
Good question, yeah.
When
so the question
do we
is,
write it?
I said write the abstract at the end. Should you write the introduction at the end, or when you that is when you finish the paper, end in time scale?
Same
or at the
question,
beginning?
yeah.
Actually, here I would suggest that you at least write the list of contributions
In the beginning.
up front, right? Because that's the driving force, because you'll find yourself writing, when you say, you know, we prove this, that, and the other, section 4, right? You're referring to a section you haven't written yet. So it's kind of like the specification for a program. So in this case, for the contributions, I do think it's a good idea to write, you'll iterate, right? But it's like, otherwise it's like writing an implementation of a program and only then going back and writing the specification, right? Of course, it's not a waterfall model, right? You write one version of the contributions, you start to write the paper, you go back to the contributions and change them. There's an iterative, but start, yeah. Then some stuff about the initial setting up you might leave until near the end. But I would have a go at the introduction first.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Another question is like, how many paragraphs usually I should have in the introduction? Does each each paragraph should have a central idea?
No, I wouldn't. I don't have any sense of how many paragraphs I want to write. It depends on the paper. I do try to fit this sequence of the problem and the contributions of the paper on page 1. That's all. However many paragraphs that takes. Sometimes I have 2 contributions, sometimes 6. Never 12. But page 1. I wouldn't worry about the paragraphs. Okay?
Okay.
What's next? In many papers, they set it up. Related work. What a disaster. Right? Here is your idea. This is the payload you're trying to get to. This is the virus you're trying to convey into Dennis's mind. And here's Dennis, right? And you put in the way a huge mound, a sort of sandbar of related work. You're going to force him to march through like sort
of other people will need related work if they want to read a paper that you have referenced. And then they go to references? Yes.
A death march to get to the idea, right? And moreover, the related work at this stage, your reader, remember, is not an expert, or may not be a complete expert in this subject. So, and yet, you're faced with this tension of, do you, in this related work section, do you say enough to make it comprehensible, in which case it becomes long, or do you make it compressed and a bit cryptic because your reader lacks the intellectual and terminological scaffolding necessary to understand it, right? So
I've had this issue of like reading papers and not understanding anything because the writer assumes I know stuff, and like being a first-year master's student, why should I know stuff? So yeah, this is a struggle.
Here's a classic bit of stuff from a related work section with lots of references and special, we haven't talked about revocation protocols and transactions. None of this vocabulary is going to be familiar to your readers, or even if it is familiar, they'll wonder whether they mean the same thing as you mean. See the problem? And there's this terrible tension between making it long enough to be understandable, but short enough to fit in a section that's between your reader and your idea. So the solution actually is very simple, which is don't put the related work section here, right? It just makes your readers feel tired, and worse, it makes them feel stupid, right? Because you've compressed it to make it short.
But that's how a reader expects. That's where the reader expects it to be, and then that's how they know they can skip it.
Short enough. And then they read it and they think, I don't understand this. I must be a very stupid worm. And this author, he's an incredible genius. I'll just move on, right? I'm never going to understand this paper. That's not the message you want to convey to your readers. You want to make them feel good about themselves, right? So let's see what to do. So I want to say more about related work later, about where to put it. Right? We're going to put it more towards the end of the paper when you have done your intellectual scaffolding. But instead, you're going to describe your problem and your idea, making references to related work where it makes sense in that narrative. Yes?
Can I just have a remark about related work? Sometimes it makes me understand the problem better because it somehow comprehend the contribution, because the related work,
Great.
you write how you approach different scope approaches of others. So I usually skip the description of previous approach when I read that our approach does this and that better.
Right. So here's what I suggest. If you were explaining the problem and your solution to a friend on your whiteboard in your office, you would probably not start with this, right? But you might say, the first way you might think of solving this problem would be like this. That's a sort of the first obvious approach. And indeed, you might then say, these guys 5 years ago did that. You wouldn't make a big deal about it. Your purpose for introducing that would be as a launch pad to explain your idea, right?
Or
so
as support, which is a launch pad. Okay.
The criterion, I think, is this. If it would make sense to explain something, if you were just trying to explain it to a colleague on the whiteboard, then put it in, right? As part of your description of your idea and how it works, right? If it doesn't really make sense, if it's not on that most direct path, your goal is to take your readers by the most direct path to your idea. Of course that requires some background, and every time that background mentions something that somebody else did, you put a citation. right? So you say, yes, expert reader, I know about that, and I'm going to come back to it in more detail later. Don't do much comparison at this stage. Just make admiring remarks about them and give a citation, right? Because at the end, you can make comparisons when they've seen the full glory of your idea, all right? So that's the criteria.
As much as I agree with you, I don't think I can follow, like, I don't know. I feel like I'd be breaking a mold, which is not a bad thing.
Use your narrative flow as the driver. Make citations where they naturally come up and don't otherwise. Does that make sense? Don't say something just because it's vaguely in the same area. Got it? Yeah.
You mean that I should give a background. If I have to give like some definition for terms to the readers.
Right.
Like for example, I want to introduce the term natural interaction.
Right.
Then, if I want to do so, then there are different definitions. So what should I do in this case?
So the question is, if I want to define a term like natural interaction was your example, and there are several competing definitions. If I was you, I would try to avoid saying definition 1, natural interaction, blah. I would say, the purpose of this paper is to improve the way that people interact with computers or something, and in particular, so we're going to use natural interaction in quotes to mean blah, and then give your definition, right? And then you can say, as a footnote or in brackets, there are other definitions, as we shall see in section 8. But I wouldn't stop at that point to say, to give a sort of a survey of the field of definitions of natural interaction, because your readers are fundamentally not interested in that survey. They're interested in what your idea, what you hope they are. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So forward reference to your related work section.
That was a really good example. Because you're most likely to use just one type of definition, and talking about that and then saying there are more, you'll see it later. Wow.
All the time. But try to keep on your track.
Sorry, Simon,
yeah.
would you apply the same structure to a PhD dissertation as well?
That's actually harder. For a PhD dissertation, fundamentally, yes. I think even PhD dissertations are usually come out best with their related work section at the end. But this is something you would need to talk to your supervisor about, and may vary a bit. But with a PhD dissertation, your readers are more motivated somehow. A PhD dissertation is a substantial chunk of work. Your readers know it's substantial. It's got chapters so they can flip past easily. So it's kind of different kind of medium. So I'd be less, I'm pretty sure about this for a related work section later for papers, and slightly more ambivalent about theses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the page lengths, obviously for a 12-page paper.
Yeah.
For a 5-pager, where would you compress?
Oh, I don't know. How do you write a 5-page page? Very difficult to write a 5-page paper, actually. I'm not sure I can say anything meaningful in answer to that question.
Whoa.
So I'll just dodge it. It's just tough, and you have to. No.
Yeah, my concern with this is, even if I agree with you, people often expect to have a related work section.
Oh, you should have a related work section.
But after the introduction, I mean, wouldn't...
No, no reviewer has ever come back to me and said you should have had your related work section earlier. Now, of course, maybe they think it's because, Simon is a great fellow and we shouldn't criticize him, but I doubt it. Reviewers are actually pretty brutal.
Harsh, yeah.
I'm sure. So I would not worry over much about that. Provided you must have a related work section. It must do a scholarly job.
Yeah, sure, but I mean...
If you refer forward reference to it, in your introduction also, at the end of your contributions, you can also then say, just before you move on, we'll discuss related work in section 8. Yeah. What you want to make sure is that your expert reader knows that you're going to get there. Right, and knows how to find it. But it can be very brief. That's my...
And by expert reader, meaning the person who wants to read your work in detail and not flip through it. Yeah, I mean, they'll see it. There are headers.
Advice. Okay, I just want to quickly move on to a bit about the sort of main payload of the paper, because what you want is you'll present your idea and avoid doing this kind of thing, right? This feels right. But it's not what you do on the whiteboard. When you do with your whiteboard, your friend, you do not write out definitions like this. You do what? You cut to the chase, right? You say, I'll tell you a bit about the formal definitions later, but what I really want you to do, since you're in my office and you've got 5 minutes, is to give you an intuitive idea of what the idea is, of what I'm trying to do. That's what you should do in the paper. You need the formal stuff or the more precise stuff later, But as a way of introducing the idea, this stuff is not so good, right? So the intuition here is primary. The intuition is primary. The intuition is
Primary.
Thank you. Right? Don't forget that, right? If you do this sort of nonsense, people will be impressed by your paper, maybe, but they may not read it, and then you failed in the virus infection process, right? Because it's like sort of Ebola, you know, it kills its patients, it kills its victims before it can pass them on, right? You want to keep them alive. Now,
That's funny.
and the other thing is that even readers who leave you after a bit of the sort of these back sort of presenting the idea sections before they get to the more of the meat, even they will go away with something valuable. So your goal is that every time somebody falls off the bus, they fall off the bus with something useful that they've taken away. They're happy about having read your paper.
Why did they fall off the bus, and why are they happy about it? I mean, they left reading the paper. Okay.
Thing to avoid is trying to recapitulate a sort of personal, painful journey. Like, research is a kind of, it's like walking through a maze in which almost all the passages are dead ends.
And
So you sort
blacked
of
out.
spend
And
weeks doing this.
yes.
And then the tendency
And you have a flashlight that doesn't work. Okay.
when you write a paper is to think, I should explain all these dead ends
Yes.
to my readers.
Yes.
And so you carry them painfully through the maze. I can't tell you how annoying it is as a reviewer, is you get to the end of a technical section, section 3, and you've been struggling to follow, but you've been putting in the cycles. You think, I'm the reviewer, I should understand this. You get to the end of section 3 and they say, well, that turned out to be a bad idea, so in section 4 we show a much better plan. You think, oh, give me a break, right?
I do have a question, which I'm sure someone will ask. How do I tell them about my failures? Or where do I tell them about my failures? Or do I not tell them about my failures?
I've only got so many years in my life. So don't do this, right? If you don't only explain blind alleys if they are blindingly obvious. Meaning, sometimes there's something that is the obvious solution and you have to explain why the obvious solution doesn't work in order to explain why your more complicated setup is important, right? Only then do you want to explain the blind alley. So be very careful. You know, it's your blood in all these blind alleys is of no great interest to them. All right. So far so good? Of course, what you're going to do on the whiteboard is you will start with an example. The very first thing you do on a whiteboard is always an example, isn't it? It's not writing definition, so do that in your paper as well. I think I have an example of an example here, but I think I'll skip it, because I think you've got the message by now. Then the rest of once you've got that central intuition over, then the rest of the paper almost writes itself, because your business then is to provide evidence to support every claim that you've made in your contributions, right? So you're going to just provide section after section that provides evidence in support of the claim. And what do I mean by evidence? I don't mean proofs, you know, sort of mathematical evidence necessarily. Sometimes it might be a theorem. That's kind of nice in some ways, but then you know when you've done it. But it might also be analysis and comparisons, measurements, case studies, more sort of soft things, but nevertheless, some reason. What's evidence? It's a reason for the reader to believe that you've achieved your goal and to be able to reproduce your goal, to say, I've got the idea, I can see how the idea works, I could reproduce it myself. Right?
Okay.
You want to go back and check your claims, okay? So, in fact, you see, I'm not really saying any more about this, because this is the part of the paper. It's not easy to write. We all understand how to do it. We've just got to write down the details of the stuff. It's this sort of bit at the beginning and end that I think is important. Okay?
Yes.
But before leaving the content, I do want to say a little bit more about related work at the end, and that's this, right? If you read related work sections, they often take the form of, well, there was, Green and White had this paper about this, but they were complete idiots. Their system didn't work at all well compared with ours, which is brilliant. And then, then there was Brown and Douglas, and they did this, and that wasn't any good either. Our system is way better, right? So the implication is that in order to make my system look good, or my solution look good, I have to
I thought you said this is what people did, and this is how I built upon it, right?
make them look bad, right? But this is not true. Credit is like love.
Oh.
It's if I have £10 and I give you £5, I only
lose.
have £5 left.
Yeah.
Credit is not like that. If I have love and I give you love, do I have less love?
No.
No. Love is an infinitely divisible commodity. That's what's so great about it. And credit is the same. If I give you credit for a paper, if I say, what's your name? Maxim. Max. If I say, in Max's fascinating paper of 2008, he does the following thing, then just by saying fascinated paper, I've given some credit to Max for what he's
2008. So this is not 95. I need to know when this is recorded.
done and acknowledge the truth, which is that I've stood on his shoulders in doing my work. Right? So any paper that you really have found inspiring or interesting, just put in an adjective to be nice to the authors.
Okay.
It's actually true, and it makes them feel good, and the world is a better place as a result. Does that make sense? And it doesn't diminish you. It doesn't mean that people will think your paper is worse because you've been nice about other people, right? The other half of the sort of related work stuff is that sometimes you have the feeling that the authors feel compelled to show that their work is better than everybody else's in every dimension. In the X direction and the Y direction and the Z direction and the time direction, everything is better. And this is seldom the case, right? Usually, your approach is kind of better along some axes and perhaps not so good on others. And it's good science to mention the ones which it's not so good at. It's also good tactics, because if your reviewers are the ones who point that out, they said, the author does not appear to be aware that his system absolutely sucks when it comes to X, Y, or Z. That's not a good thing to have in your review. Whereas if you point out, you say, in the X, Y, and Z applications, probably not a good idea to use our approach because, it actually Bloggs' system will work better here. That's fine. That's good science. So, yeah.
So is it better to have this acknowledging your weaknesses all in one place in the related work, or does it make sense to acknowledge them in the sections where they might come up?
So I would... In general, I think the easiest place to describe weaknesses is in the related work section when you are making comparisons, because then you are in the business of comparing, right? Earlier, it may well make sense to say in some earlier, more detailed section, you may say, well, this is a neat way of solving problem X. You may note that it doesn't solve problem Y. That might be a natural thing to say, if it kind of seems obvious. But in some
So you're comparing it to your stuff and you're saying this is what they did and this is what I'm doing to make it better, but you're not belittling their work.
In some ways, it can be hard to do that kind of stuff as you're going along because you haven't yet described the full sort of glory and roundness of what you're trying to do. By the time you've got to the end, you have so much more terminology and common context with your reader. By the time they get to the related work, they will understand a lot more easily the things you're trying to say by way of evaluation and judgments than as they go along. So I'd inclined to put it at the end. Anyone else about this?
Good point.
Okay. Are you standing up in a kind of hopeful kind of way?
No, I just thought if there are no questions now, I will kind of...
Oh, you can run around with microphones, yes.
Are you standing up in a hopeful kind of way? What does that mean? Or are you leaving?
that comes from the recording. Let me just mention the inverse thing, which is just as not acknowledging weaknesses is at least poor tactics, not acknowledging important related work is a death knell, right? So, and rightly so. If a reviewer finds himself or herself writing in your review, the author does not appear to be aware that this paper from 2 years ago
is very relevant and should have been cited.
Does essentially the same thing as theirs, or covers 80% of what's in this paper, or is highly relevant but is completely unmentioned, that's really, really, really not good.
That sentence?
Right? So you must acknowledge other people. And it's not...
Hello again. Hi. I think I added some stuff that are supposed to be sounds. Yes! Wait, what? The guy's name is Simon, but I don't think that's their name. Simon. Name. Oh, where's the name? Oh, there it is. Simon Python Jones. Was that autocorrect? Oh, that's so cute. I'm like, huh? Simon Pajamas? Such person exists? Yes, that's Simon Pajamas. I don't know when this was recorded. Oh, it says 2013. No. Oh, shoot. No, this says it's a different version. No. I keep trying to guess, but I keep coming short. So yeah. The pajamas have become shorts now. Here's a link if you're curious. Can I ask you something? Can I make a request? Would that be alright with you? In the thing where you can do the things on Twitch, I added some stuff. Can you test something that is? Do let me know if they are pricey. But like, there's the one that says Monty Python. There are a few of them. Can you test them? I want to see if I can hear them because I added sound bites. There we go. And then you can use them. But they're a bit down. Like, huh is one of them. I don't know what Tim. Oh, it's not Trim, it's Tim. And then there's Hydrate, and then there's Runaway, and then there's My Brain Hurts. All of that. I was only able to add like a few of them for the, what is this thing called? It's not bits, it's a different thing that you can use, and it doesn't cost you a lot. Great. I can show you though. If you don't want to, that's cool. Let me open Twitch first. Twitch, there's Twitch. Soundboard. Hey, what's up? But there are two ways. I'm not saying use this part because this is pricey and I don't want you to do that. I'm saying this bit here. I don't know what they're called, but like these things. These ones make noise. Should make noise anyway. There's a... At first when I was testing them, I didn't change this, but then I changed it to like 100 later. I probably could make it less. Because, yeah. I guess Noir can use them if you know how to use them. I just want to see if... Yes, new options. The one below, I don't know how it works. The one that says... There's another one. Blurp. That one is also there. I don't know. I hope it's free. So you can also test that if it works. Yes. I wanted to see if it works or not. That's why I'm requesting. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Going back to my... Oh. No, not bits. Again. Bits are pricey. It's not bits. It's not bits. Well, I'm sure, I don't know. Anyway, if you have 100, then you should be able to use it. Let me see if I can do it myself. Have you programmed? No, I have not used Haskell. Is that how? No, I have it not. Let me see if I can test it myself. I should be able to do that, right? Because I have infinite this. Again, not bits. I'm not asking for bits. Where did it go? Let's try this one. Someone. Oh. He's like our king. I just found this lecture from the Carnegie Mellon University's like it was a link. It was a thing that was saying you can watch this for more information. And I got interested, curious, and I did that. Yeah. But I don't know what's his work, which yeah. Yes. You can collaborate with people, which is great. I shall do that one day, but just please let me, what happened? Why can't I see this thing? There, now I can see it. And then testing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Run away!
Yep.
Code Life Cool just redeemed Monty Python Runaway.
Yes, I did that. Done. Runaway worked. Nice. Yeah. It worked.
Noir_BD just redeemed UP.
Yep. Also, EP worked. Oh God, that was 1,000. I'm gonna make them less later. Okay, I'll do that because it's just fun and good thing to get me to distract me. So please do not do them because they will distract me. Wink, wink. I don't know the one that at the bottom if it works or not. We can test that next time later. Because I want to finish this lecture. Wait, can I have an I? Do I have a I? I don't think I do. I don't think I do have such emote. No, maybe? This is less I and more shading your eye. Oh, it does look like I, doesn't it? Yeah, sort of. Cool. Oh, wrong one. There we go. 10 more minutes?
Again, it's because it's true, right? They did had some stuff. You probably read their paper. If you didn't, you should. I mean, of course, it might be that you genuinely don't know about it, and that would be bad. But not much you can do about that. But this part is not good, right? So if you leave out something you do know about because you hope that the referees don't know about it either, bad tactic.
Especially if it gives a different view of the problem, and you don't want to mention it because it might make your paper look bad. I don't know. I had a question. What was it? Yeah. Noir, did you finish your studies? Is that why you're here, or are you taking a break? Because that's also allowed. Definitely allowed.
Bad science and bad tactic as well. Quick thing about conclusions. Don't have very long conclusions. Sometimes people say, tell them what you're going to say, then...
You can have a discussion and results and discussion if you don't want to have a big conclusion one, right? Having a convo with someone at HuggingFace's Discord. Huh. Why am I not part of that? I love HuggingFace. Why did I not know this existed?
Say it and then summarize the story at the end. By the time people get to the end of the research paper, my experience is they're a bit tired and they don't read the conclusions. But your column inches, going back to your question about length, are often very constrained. So I tend to finish with a section not called, I tend not to have further work. And
Probably, yeah, I expected. I mean, one would think it existed, but one doesn't always think.
then conclusions. I tend to have a section called conclusions and further work, and then I sort of, as it were, sketch things that I might do in the future. And I wouldn't spend too much time on further work, but sometimes you find people have a long section on further work, which is kind of like reads like a research grant proposal that says, here are lots of things that I would like to do but I haven't done yet. And again, your readers are not terribly interested in that. They want to know stuff that you have done that they can use. Okay?
Further work can be like one sentence saying, I'd like to do this sometime. That's it. But I do believe in research and results and discussions, especially if you have a lot to say.
Yeah. Oh, several of you. No, you were first here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Nansu. Yeah. Right.
So in our recent journal paper, we just criticized that we shouldn't put what we're going to do in the future work, because this is the reviewers somehow consider that it will constrain other people's mind to some certain topic that we are going to do.
Oh, you mean you sort of planted your flag and said, we're going to do that. And so
yeah, basically you take away other people's ideas?
You mustn't.
I mean, the reviewer's suggestion is somehow like they suggested that we point out some of the weak problem or some open problem that may be solved by other people.
Right, that seems reasonable. So further, it mightn't be further work that we're going to do and nobody else must. Just here's further work that's suggested by this research. Go to it, audience. So I've never had that kind of comment myself. But I think
I don't think you're saying this is my flag, but also you can say, I would like to do this. It's not, I will do it, right? Because you can't always do it.
An easy way to deal with it is just to...
Sometimes it's just you say it because otherwise the reviewer would say, why didn't you say that?
Keep the further work section short, right? Not to say too much, not to take too many column inches on that. Okay. Because it's not part of the real payload of the paper. It's more like saying, it's obvious that we haven't finished here. There's lots of interesting avenues, and you, the reader, may like to take some of them up. That's the message you'd like to convey.
Okay.
Success is so infecting your readers that they join you in the research program. That's success.
Cute.
You have a question? Yeah, I know. Right.
I'm sort of ambiguous on the question where to put limitations of the method. So one approach that I can imagine is to put it directly where they belong in the technical section. So that if I'm describing a problem, I also have to describe as a limitation of the approach I took. The other thing is that, well, put it to the conclusions and future work, because it's sort of good way to have it there, because if somebody is just scanning through the paper, well, he will see there, he will see the utility or non-utility to it.
This is about limitations. Well, it's kind of what I was saying in response to your colleague at the back here. I would be inclined to, because where we're talking about weaknesses, that means limitations, right?
Right.
Things that you don't do so well. Mostly I find myself putting that in related work, or maybe if it comes up earlier.
Details.
I seldom put in the conclusions, because I'm trying to keep the conclusions short.
No, but I mean, really putting it in the technical section.
Yep, that's fine too. If it comes up naturally there, go for it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's, the only reason not to put it there is if it's hard to understand the limitation when you haven't read the next technical section.
True,
but
true.
That's all, yeah.
So I saw quite many conclusion sections that were essentially copies of the respective abstract sections, but with the tense changed from present to past.
Will too did.
So do you think that's a good use of column inches? No, total waste of paper, right? So that's why I think tell them what you're going to do, tell them, and then reproduce the abstract in the conclusion. No help at all. I just leave it out. Just say, summarize briefly.
My question is about.
But he said abstract should be. Haskell came out in 1990s, a new version 2010. In the background of video, 20 years. Oh, you think it's Haskell? I think it might be from 2010. Huh. Interesting. I will go back to that 20-year when we see it in the background, because I had a note about it earlier. Let me see which one of... I'm guessing you are more right than I am, but...
Special kind of papers like tool papers. I mean, when you write a tool and you are in a race with other tools, you have to a little bit offending about other tools. Like, you couldn't find that bug with your tool, but I can find it right now.
I don't think you need to be offending, right? You can say, in the outstanding...
He's standing on the chair. It's really cute. I know where this is. What? No way. I was saying that it says 20 years because maybe it's a Microsoft 20-year anniversary, and Microsoft is from 75. So I said this might be 95, but the hairstyles are not saying that, so that's why I'm saying I might be wrong.
Sat solver designed by so-and-so and so-and-so, which has, which has many fantastic properties.
Yes.
It
Compliment sandwich.
But here's the table that shows our performance. And as you can see, we do actually succeed in outperforming them quite often, right? So the data speaks for itself. You don't need to say, in the very stupid sat solver these guys have written. In other words, you can be nice about their work, because it almost certainly is good work, while still presenting data that shows that you improve them on some axes.
Okay.
So I would try to do that if you can. That's the flavor of the message, I think, that's good.
I like being nice, so I approve this message.
One more back here, and then we've got to stop at lunchtime, haven't we?
My question is about the details. How deep to describe my system if it's kind of complicated? I mean, on one hand, I can go on all the details. On the other hand, I can be get more over the overview, but what's the balance?
So how detailed can you be? It's hard for me to answer that, because pretty much it's constrained by the paper.
Yeah, size of paper, because he was saying he writes 12-page papers. I've not done that.
Right, by the length of the paper. You just don't have much space, right? The only thing I'd say is try to focus on your key idea. Put the details that articulate your idea, and if there are other kind of only loosely related stuff, but that's important to you, write another paper. I don't know how to say anything more than that, really. Yes, at the back corner.
How do you use appendix? I have seen paper with 10 pages of main paper and 15 pages of appendix.
Yeah. So appendices for papers are a bit like technical reports. They say, we proved this theorem, and if you want to see the proof, here it is. So that's really good because it doesn't drag the reader through the proof. It says, here is where you can find the evidence if you want it. Or it might even be in, online somewhere. I think that's good. Try not to put, what you want to do is, you want to put material that clearly is a kind of
The thing about online stuff, which I guess, I could say, what if the link no longer works? So if it's like text, put it there, but if it's like, I don't know, like a language model, you can't put it in the paper. You have to link to it, right?
Subroutine call away. You get the payload from the theorem, and they can go and find it if they want, that kind of thing. Supporting data.
Okay, one final thing, two final questions here, and then give a break, because you need your strength for this afternoon.
Yeah, we've got to stop for lunch too.
It says Microsoft Research.
Sometimes you're in between fields.
Let me
or
see.
Or you have a really complicated issue and you somehow need a gentle introduction to that, a longer introduction. Where do you put that?
That's writing cross-field papers and papers about complicated ideas is simply harder. So, sometimes that means you have to aim at a journal.
Okay, you're right. You win. So, see? Microsoft Research was founded in 1991, which means in 20 years it will be 2011. So yes, this is basically 2010, but 2011.
Because conferences are often narrowly focused and sometimes are not very hospitable to cross-field papers. And if you need more space, you may just need to say, perhaps this is a almost semi-tutorial or survey paper sometimes. I don't quite know. I'm not sure I can say anything very meaningful in response to your question, except to acknowledge that yes, it's harder. And so the more initially, particularly in the early stages of a research career, the more you can focus on, more single issue politics, if you like, the easier you'll make your life. And then you can sort of try more ambitious and difficult, but still important. I'm not saying it's not important. It's usually important to do this cross-field stuff. It's just harder.
Especially starting out, right?
And how to choose section titles? Should I follow it like tradition, like introduction and problem statement, experimental settings and evaluation like this, or should I be more creative?
I would be creative. Yeah. Read ones that you write section headings that you'd like to read.
So can I choose from my contribution list?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just write the ones that you'd like to read. Write the ones that make sense. Don't worry about some abstract skeleton. Okay. Go for it. So we're going to stop and have lunch. Hang on.
I think there's an ad break on Twitch. Sorry, I didn't see it. I couldn't stop it.
But just one moment. I want to say what do I want to say? These slides will all be available somewhere.
Thank
Scarlett
you.
will tell you where, right?
Well.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of there's a bunch of further slides that I'm clearly not going to talk about now, because we're going to have lunch about the actual sort of process of getting about writing. And I want to say one thing about this before we go to have lunch, which is to get friends to read your paper. Right? Get them to act as guinea pigs. And if you give your paper to a friend to read, right, so I give it to Alexander to read, what Alexander will naturally do is he'll give it back to me, covered with suggestions about spelling mistakes and grammatical infelicities.
Yes.
Because he will read it and he'll get lost in section 3, but he'll be much too polite to say that. Right? You'll just say, this sentence construction is not very good. But what you want him to say is, I got lost in section 3, right here.
So give them pointers on feedback?
Carrying your readers on a journey. So you have to educate your readers about what you want them to do. So try to sit in front of them and say, don't tell me about spelling mistakes. Don't tell me about grammar. Tell me where you got lost. And then you can have a dialogue with them, right? They read the paper, they say, I got lost here. And you say, oh, let's see if we can unpack this. So you start whiteboard stuff, and they say, oh, now I understand. Often what happens is, all you need to do is, they say, well, I got lost. You explain it, they say, that's great. And all you have to do is record what you said in that conversation and write it down in the paper. It's incredible how much better people are explaining something verbally than they are.
I agree with you.
There's a really good
which is why I take note using ASR. ASR is the thing, yeah. Speech to text, because I can talk better, but I know it sounds like a ramble, so you have to edit it out, but still, it is easier to talk than it is to write. And that's why I like talking to ChatGPT.
And the rest of the slides, which is a bit more about reviewing stuff and about sort of language and so forth, you can read online or look at a video or something. But we should stop for lunch, right? Because it's after all lunchtime. Just let me see if there was anything else that I just wanted to say about this thing.
We have 2 hours.
Oh, that's right. We have 2 hours for lunch. But you're going to get hungry and then you'll stop paying attention. That's not good. So let me just see briefly if there's one or two things I wanted to add from you about experts. So non-expert guinea pigs are good. Expert guinea pigs are also good. And I want to give you one idea for how to get experts to read your paper. When you write your related work section, you'll mention various other people, right? If you send your paper to them saying, "Dear Professor Sniggins, I found your paper so inspiring," and it better be true, right? I enjoyed your paper, and I've done some work that
related
builds on it in what I think was an interesting way. And I'm just enclosing a drafting, but in the related work section, I say something about your paper, and I'd just like to check that I express it in a fair way. Right? At that point, Professor Sniggins thinks,
"Oh my God.
He's writing about my paper."
That's so cool. Like instead of saying, "Please review my paper," you're saying, I've discussed your paper and please check if I'm giving it." Wow.
I'll just have a quick look, right? So he looks at the related work section, and then he can't resist it. He looks back a bit, right? And soon he's reading a bit more. Now, he still may not send you any feedback, but it's not a bad plan, particularly as he may be one of your reviewers. Because what conference program chairs do is they say, who's in the citation? So they'd be plausible reviewers, right? So if you can get him to slag you off now, right, while it's in draft, that's way better than when he's being the reviewer. Yeah.
But also, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest if they know who you are? Because I think there are anonymous reviews.
It's computer graphics, usually the review process is anonymous.
Yeah.
This can be used as a tool to exclude reviewers you don't like.
Oh, very tactical.
You have to be careful about sending your paper to others.
Send it to everybody.
I see. You mean, so if you send it to too many people, then none of them will be able to review it, and you'll be left with only people who
are not experts, which is could be a positive thing.
You may not want to. In fact, it's hard to do this because you're writing against the deadline, and you never have it ready in time. You probably are going to use this technique rather sparingly. The last thing I want to say was about reviews. After your paper is rejected, which it will be, our paper is rejected all the time, you will get reviews that seem to you, at the moment you receive them, to be blatantly unfair. Right? You will be bleeding. Right, because your precious work, which you invested so much in, has been rejected. Put the review aside, wait a week, and then come back to it with perhaps a greater sense of perspective.
Is there time, though?
And look at the review and try to think, how could I rewrite this paper so that not even the world's most stupid reviewer could make that mistake? Right? How could I rewrite the paper so that not even a very stupid reviewer could make that mistake? Now, of course, sometimes reviewers are literally incompetent, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's just tough. Sometimes happens. But more often, they are well-meaning and expert, but they misunderstood. And that is something you can fix, right? So just don't ignore, don't just bleed from the reviews. Try to profit from them, however hard it is.
Reviews are useful, though.
Excellent. Thank you.
Wow. This was amazing. I'm so glad I watched the whole thing because like I really enjoyed the it was this one. That was a recommended viewing. How to write great research paper. Oh, 2006. Here's our answer. 2006. You know what? I believe that to be true because it didn't feel like after 2010. The camera didn't feel that way, even if the people did, and it didn't feel like from the 90s because the clothing style and hairstyle was not. So yay, I am happy. And our next lecture,
today I'm going to talk.
Yes, will be about retrieval and retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. I'm guessing, which is not today because time is done. I did run the code last time. Was that it? Where was it? I think I ran the whole thing just so that it works. This took like 6 hours? Did it? I thought it took longer. I think it took like 9 hours. Anyway, this is the code from this part. So, yes. We can do a quick comparison. 99, 96, 99. Is it the exact same thing? I think it is. 9625. Yep, it's the exact same thing. I ran this like, why does it look like I didn't run it? I swear I did. Was it refreshed? It took so long. Like I ran it overnight. Anyway, yeah, next thing would be fine-tuning a mass language model. And that's it for today. Did you have fun? I hope you had fun. And I hope we learned stuff. I like lectures that are advice if I watch them myself. Not, yeah. I don't always like getting advice, but I like learning about people's experiences and expertise. Yeah, like what they've been through, experiences, yeah. So that was very interesting. I hope you had a nice time, and I hope I didn't waste your time. Yeah. If you would like, I don't say if you like to suggest anything, because I don't think I take suggestions, but if you have any suggestions, sure, go ahead. Very good. I didn't understand anything. Why? Which part did you not understand? The writing paper part? It's good advice for writing anything. I think so, anyways. Why do you think you didn't understand? No, I'm sad now. I hope one day when you need to write a paper, you can come back to this video. Like all. Why? Why? Like, are you a bachelor student and you've never written a paper? Because I didn't write a paper until I was a master's student, so I can understand that. But yeah. Oh, that's okay though. I'm a lazy learner. Like I need to do something multiple times to just get to a good point. So I can understand. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, sometimes some people need to do something multiple times to get to a point, and some people need to do like more than multiple times. So that's okay. Yeah, I guess try to learn stuff that you're really interested in. I don't know if that's something you're interested in. Maybe you came for NLP and I put you through paper writing, so sorry about that. We shall return to our normal programming on, it's Tuesday, right? On Thursday, yeah. Yeah, I won't be streaming tomorrow, but inshallah, Thursday, I'll do my best to come back. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any further things, either write it in the comment section, or maybe, I don't know, DM me on Twitter or Discord or wherever you fancy. Yes. Have a nice rest of your day/night. And I'll see you next time, inshallah, or you will see me next time if you feel like it. If not, that's okay. Been trying to learn Python for months. I haven't. Have you? Like, has it been through courses or videos? Because courses are just a little bit better than videos. Videos are a bit passive. If like learning Python from beginning, I don't know if I recommended this last time, but Free Code Camp has a really good course. I'm sure that can be helpful for you. Free Code Camp. There we go. Putting it in the chat. Have a look. Have a look. I really like their stuff. Okay. But you have to sign in and track your stuff. I actually really like the calendar they have, because it makes you feel nice when you have consecutive days you've worked on stuff. A little of everything. Okay. do that, and then try to stick to one thing for like at least a few weeks. Okay? Okay. I shall be heading out. Have a lovely rest of your time. I shall end the stream starting from 5. If there's anything, do let me know. Otherwise, I will end it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.